Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, everyone. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos, everyone. We're glad you're here tonight at Congregation Kol Ami, and we're here in West Hollywood. And we're really especially grateful to formally welcome our new rabbinic intern for the year, Franklin Saltzman. Frankie in the familiar. Frankie led a couple services with us over the summer, but really this week, Frankie began their service to our congregation, and so we're so excited that you're here with us this year. We look forward to learning with you and from hearing about your journey to becoming a rabbi and all of the teaching that I know you have inside of you. So welcome
Thank you so much.
to Kol Ami. Tonight, let us welcome Frankie, welcome each other. It's page 128. It's been a hard week in our congregation. We lost a lot of good friends this week. So let's welcome each other and the holiness of family and relationship we have together. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 We turn to page 120 and 121 for our candle lighting. And it's my privilege and honor to invite our friends David Bernstein and Bernie Goldberg to kindle our Shabbat lights and to stay here for the Kiddush. Bernie and David, if you come forward, page 120, 121. And I've invited them because Bernie has two yort sites, and that also his cousin Ernie Benson died in this week now ending, and the yort site of his dear cousin Ellen and his brother Alvin. So as we remember them on this Shabbat, we invite them to read the English first on page at the top of page 121, then light the candles and say the blessings.
As these Shabbat candles
Wait, let's turn the microphone on. Turn the mic on so the people at home can hear you.
Hello? Is this it?
Now
Okay.
you're on,
Okay.
yes.
We'll get closer.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, be our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Of source of life and truth, creator of eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Amen. Share light?
Yeah, light. You have to push and pull.
I'll use matches. I'll go the old-fashioned route. You want a light one? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you,
Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe,
who hallows us with mitzvah, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
You'll just stay there for a moment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. And David and Bernie, if you'll lift the Kiddush cup high, on page 123 in our prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah, we chant the Shabbat Kiddush together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikomim. V'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat lechaim. Lechaim, if you'll take a sip. Bernie, we can extend our condolences to you and your family on the loss of your cousin, and I'm glad you're here with our Temple family. Yes, we do that too. Friends, let us turn to page 125 and pray together. 125. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of a frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day, and let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. We turn to page 138 as we welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst with these words of Lecha Dodi. לקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם אל תפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 9, we rise to greet the Sabbath. בואי ושלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Let's greet one another with good Shabbos at home. We're so glad you're with us. We wish you a Shabbat Shalom, filled with peace, rest, and renewal. Shabbat Shalom. We rise for the Borachu, page 146.
One of the beautiful things about Shabbat is that no matter what, it always comes each week. It's always there. And just like the next two prayers that we have, Ma'ariv Arvim and Ahavat Olam, also speak to something that just always comes. The sun will always set, and God's love for us will always be there, and our love for each other will always be there. And so no matter what week we have, even during the most challenging of weeks, we can always know the sun will set, our love will be there together, and Shabbat will come to give us this day of rest that we need. Let's read together the words of Ahavat Olam on page 150. The English at the bottom together. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Amen. With Shema, prayer is next. And we talked about it last week because it was actually appeared in the Torah portion of Elchanan. Last week's Torah portion was the Shema. But the version that we're going to sing tonight the melody was written by the Israeli composer Tzvika Pick. Why am I telling you this? Because Tzvika Pick died this week on August 14th. And Tzvika Pick was one of the greatest Israeli songwriters that ever lived. He was born in Poland and made Aliyah to Israel. And he wrote many, many famous Israeli songs. He was a television actor as well. But one of the things, and he wrote music for the synagogue. But he also wrote something else. In 1998, Israel actually won the Eurovision Music Contest. This is not as big in America, but throughout Europe, the Eurovision Song Contest is a huge, huge, important thing that brings people of all nationalities together over the course. And in 1999, Israel won for the first time. The song was Diva, written by Tzvika Pick and sung by Dana International, a trans woman who represented Israel the whole year. I mean, think about the year, 1998, how forward and amazing that was. So tonight, you know this melody. You might not know that it's Tzvika Pick's melody to the Shema, but I thought this is important for us to honor his legacy, to honor his life, and of course, as we recite the holiest prayer of our tradition, the notion that we are one with God and that we affirm God's oneness. So let us rise together as we sing the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Please be seated and let us join in chanting the V'ahavta together on page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta baham b'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'lektecha v'derech u'shachbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'od ayadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'kdavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Elohechem, Asher Hotzeti Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Liot Lachem Le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We continue on page 157 as we read together the words at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promised land passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
158.
Our next prayer is the Hashkivenu prayer, and it is one that is one of my favorites, actually. It's one that I have always found myself turning to when I am in need of comfort. It talks about asking God to give us a Sukkat Shalom, a sukkah of peace, a shelter of peace. And it's an image that I've always found comforting. And anytime I've had a hard day, I have always looked forward to, at the end of the day, being able to pray this prayer. Let's read the words of this prayer together at the bottom of page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapares sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
As we have that image of the Sukkah and we think towards the High Holy Days and Sukkot that are coming in 6 weeks now from on now, just think of that Sukkat Shalom surrounding you, that you're inside the safest place you will ever be, to just be you. And now you receive an extra blessing, the blessing of Shabbat, as we sing Vishamru and pray the words of Vishamru from the book of Exodus, page 162. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את שבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את שבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. As we turn to page 164 and rise together, I want us to direct our hearts forward, direct our hearts outward, so that whatever the words it is that you need to say tonight, whatever the words that you need to hear, not only that God needs to hear, let that flow through you and out of you and into the sacred space that we've made together. Let's rise. Page 164. We'll begin together, and then we'll pray silently on our own. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. We continue through 181, or the words of your own heart. Page 178. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We now turn our thoughts to offer a prayer for healing for those in our community in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. I invite you, if you're joining with us online, to offer any names into the chat and to hold any names in your heart as we think of these members of our community. John Altshul, Gary Ashlin, Stephen Baird, Vicki Beard, Stuart Berkeley, Richard Bernard, Lisa Bird, Murray Blank, Dabby Blott, Elaine Blott, Louise Cantrell, Wayne Cantrell, Gail Ehrlich, Tino Felipe, Brad Greenberg, Stephen Hochstein, Don Hollis, Tim Jordan, Heidi Kevis, Starlin Lemons, Daryl Levine, Peter Mackler, Larry Mendelson, Zachary Pierce, Michael Prince, Tammy Rabowski, Keith Rand, Ben Reback, Arlene Regan, Ivan Rosenberg, Lowell Selvin, Judy Searle, Karen Schonbrom, Henry Sommerfeld, Barbara Thompson, David Suriel, Stephen Valentino, Eitan Wolf, David Ben Herschel Vibasha. If there are any names in our community, please share them now. We take all those names into our hearts as we sing the words of our Mishpach prayer.
Page 371. Mishebeira avotenu kor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A few years ago, I heard a TED Talk by a criminal rights attorney named Brian Stevenson. In it, he made a statement that he brushed through quickly, but left a significant impact on me. He said that through his work, he has come to believe that a person is more than the worst thing they've ever done. A person is more than the worst thing they've ever done. On the surface, that seemed like a statement perhaps easy to get behind. He says, first, if someone lies, they are more than just a liar. Then, if someone takes from someone else, they are more than just a thief. And then he says, even if someone is a killer, we need to see them as more than that act. This last assertion, this is what struck me, and I struggled with it. Killing has struck my family. When my father was a young boy, he, his cousin, and his mother were in the car picking up Chinese food. On the way home, they heard over the radio about a shooting from a robbery at a nearby pawn store. This store was owned by my father's uncle, and he did not survive that incident. The man responsible was arrested and sentenced to death, which was later changed to a life sentence, and then again to being released early due to his failing kidneys. When he was released, the newspaper ran an article stating that this person had done their time and now society needed to forgive him, to give him a second chance. My father was not happy. He wrote a letter to the newspaper expressing his dislike of the article and the pain the recently released man had caused our family. The man had done his time, and perhaps in that way asked for forgiveness. But my father did not forgive him. In his eyes, this man was not more than the awful choice he made, that action he took. This story about my father is just one example of the eternal question of why do bad things happen to good people? Or vice versa, why do good things happen to bad people? There's a well-known book by Rabbi Harold Kushner about this, where he shifts the question. The book is titled, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. When, and not why, because Rabbi Kushner believes that pain and suffering are aspects of the world God created. He writes, God does not cause on our misfortunes. Some are caused by bad luck, some are caused by bad people, and some are simply an inevitable consequence of our being human and being mortal, living in a world of inflexible natural laws. Bad things happening to good people is simply a reality of our world. But it doesn't mean it is an easy one to accept. This is especially highlighted by this week's Parsha, Akev, a portion that can be challenging to study. One of the central themes of the portion is that of reward and punishment. We find this theme particularly in Deuteronomy verses 11, 13 through 17, which are traditionally part of the second paragraph of the Shema. However, you may not be familiar with the second paragraph because early in the Reform movement, it was removed from our liturgy due to its challenging theology. These verses state, "If then you obey the commandments that I enjoin upon you this day, loving your God and serving God with all your heart and soul, I will grant the rain for your land in season, the early rain and the late. You shall gather in your new grain and wine and oil. I will also provide grass in the fields for your cattle, and thus you shall eat your fill. Take care not to be lured away to serve other gods or bow to them. For God's anger will flare up against you, shutting up the skies so that there will be no rain, and the ground will not yield its produce. And you will soon perish from the good land that God is assigning to you." The idea in these verses that life is as simple as obey God and be rewarded, disobey and be punished, is one that early on the Reform movement moved away from because we know it not to be true. As much as we want our world to be black and white, we know it isn't. While we may not believe word for word all that is written in this week's Parsha, that doesn't mean we cannot still learn from it. Sometimes a lesson is not what is included, but what isn't included, what isn't written. What I find lacking from this theological statement in Deuteronomy is the opportunity for forgiveness. Next Shabbat is also Rosh Chodesh, the first day of the month of Elul, the month where we prepare for the new year and our high holy days. Akev, our portion, means heel. It comes from the same root as the name of Jacob, Yaakov, named such because he was grabbing the heel of his brother Esau in the womb. Rashi, arguably the most significant medieval commentator, says here that Akev should be understood as on the heels of. I believe that what is written in Akev comes on the heels of the month of Elul to teach us, to remind us that we are on the heels of preparing to reflect on our year, that it is okay to struggle with our texts, with God, with ourselves, to struggle with our world. And I want to suggest that forgiveness is left out to remind us that it is time to start searching for it, to begin our process of asking whose forgiveness we need and who needs our forgiveness. I do not fault my father for not forgiving the person who killed his uncle, but in my belief, he should. Not for that man's sake, but for his own. Jewish tradition teaches us this. On Yom Kippur, we imagine that we are standing before God in judgment. Our prayers entreat God to open up the gates for us, to inscribe us in the book of life, to forgive us. Why should we expect God to forgive us if we cannot forgive each other? I didn't come to this position of forgiveness easily. It wasn't until I heard the story of a woman named Ava Kor. Ava was a survivor of the Holocaust, one of the worst acts done against our people and in history. As a young girl, Ava was taken with her family and her twin sister to Auschwitz. There, she and her sister became human guinea pigs to Dr. Mengele, a Nazi doctor seeking to learn more about twins. Fortunately, both her and her sister survived. However, they were the only members of their family to do so. Ava went on to move to America and raise a family. In 1993, her sister passed away from health complications that could be traced back to the experiments that were performed on her. From here, I want to share a clip of Ava telling her own story.
In 1987, I donated one of my kidneys to save her, but she died in 1993, and I was devastated. She was the only one from the family who was alive. I was angry. I was heading to Germany to meet a Nazi doctor. I was unbelievably nervous and scared. Dr. Munch at the time was 82 years old. He greeted me with kindness, respect, and consideration. I was blown away, a Nazi treating me with respect. Dr. Hans Munch was a bacteriologist at Auschwitz, but he also had a secondary job that he was stationed outside the gas chambers. And when people were dead, he would sign one death certificate, no names, just the number of people who were murdered. And he said to me, "This is my problem. This is a nightmare that I live with." I asked him if he was willing to go with me to Auschwitz and make the same statement that he made to me, and he said he would love to. I knew that was a crazy idea, to thank a Nazi, a survivor of Auschwitz, to thank a Nazi. People would think that I have lost my mind. I tried to figure out how to thank him, and after 10 months, a simple idea popped into my head. How about a letter of forgiveness from me, the survivor of Auschwitz? I knew that that was a meaningful gift for him, but what I discovered for myself was life-changing. that I had the power to forgive. No one could give me that power. No one could take it away. To challenge myself, I decided I could even forgive Mengele, the person who had put me through hell. It wasn't easy, but I felt an enormous weight had been lifted from me. I finally felt free. Who decided that I, as a victim, must be for the rest of my life sad, angry, feel hopeless and helpless? I refuse it. You can never change what happened in the past. All you can do is change how you react to it. My sister and I were made into human guinea pigs. Our whole family was murdered, but I have the power to forgive, and so do you.
Ava passed away on July 4th, 2019, a few miles from Auschwitz, during an educational trip that she led to the camp. 5 days prior to her passing, Ava gave video testimony to the Auschwitz Museum. In it, she said, "Forgive your worst enemies. The moment I forgave the Nazis, I felt free from Auschwitz and from all tragedy that had occurred to me." She said that for her, the way to combat the prejudice that can lead to genocide is as simple as, quote, treating each other with respect and fairness. I'm not sure whether Ava would agree that each person is more than the worst thing they've ever done. But as a self-described forgiveness advocate, I do think she would say, regardless, we must view them as such. Many other Holocaust survivors criticized Ava for her forgiveness, and I do not dare tell them if they should forgive. The same as I cannot judge my father about his choice whether or not to forgive. But we can look at this question. Is a person more than the worst thing they've ever done? To say yes is to move away from a system focused on retributive justice and move to models of restorative justice. As Rabbi Benjamin Resnick explains in his piece, how forgiveness can be restorative. Retributive justice seeks, as the phrase connotes, retribution, punishment for a crime or misdeed. Restorative justice emphasizes reconciliation and takes into account both the needs of the victimized party or community as well as the needs of the perpetrator. Restorative justice recognizes that at our core, most people do not wake up and intend to be violent. It recognizes the system which Akev wants us to believe at first glance, that the world is as simple as obey God and do good, and you will be rewarded, disobey or do evil, and you will suffer. But this system doesn't hold true. What models of restorative justice, as well as Ava's message, teaches us is that we do have a choice. It is not only up to God. We have agency over our lives, not only to ask others for forgiveness, but to give forgiveness as well. The Shabbat, may we all consider what may we be leaving up to the hands, to the judgment of God, that we ourselves have the power to take back into our own hands. Let us consider how we, like Ava, could use forgiveness to free ourselves and allow ourselves to move forward. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Frankie, for that inspiring sermon tonight. We invite Janine Schneider forward, a member of our board who has some important announcements for us. And Janine, if you'll use the microphone over here, great.
Hi, I'm Janine Snyder, and I have the honor of being on the Board of Trustees. And on behalf of the Board of Congregation Kol Ami, we want to wish you a wonderful Shabbat. Shalom. Thank you, Lisa Edwards, for your fabulous music again. We love that. And welcome to Frankie Salzman, our new rabbinic intern, as they began their internship with us. We're excited. We've started our 30th year at Kol Ami. And if you haven't renewed your membership yet, this is the time to do that. It is the time for you to stake out your place in this wonderful, sacred community that nourishes all of us. And if you've been considering joining our amazing congregation, this would be the perfect time as we move forward into a new beginning. You can do so either by calling the office or going to the website or filling out the membership form online. Members can also renew your membership online, or better yet, elect to automatically renew at Kol Ami and make things so much easier for all of us. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., Rabbi Ager will be teaching online our monthly Torah study. Don't miss it. And we are thrilled to be in the middle of studying once again with our wonderful poet and liturgist, Alden Salovey, who will be teaching the second of a two-part class called Soul of Shabbat, Sunday on August 21st at 10 a.m. online. And I speak as one of the members who is taking that course, as many of us are, that it's amazing. To study with Alden is such a gift of renewal. He's coming to us from Jerusalem. He will help us explore the prayers and the poetry of the Shabbat service. The classes are $18 for members and $36 for non-members. Even if you've missed the first class, we did record it. You can take the first class and you can show up on Sunday morning and join us, and that would be wonderful. As we all know, hate is rising in America, and anti-Semitism specifically affecting our lives. On Thursday, August 20th, Kol Ami will host a special summit on combating anti-Semitism for the city of West Hollywood. You're invited to attend. We are partnering with ICANN, the Israel Civic Action Network, the Jewish Federation, the Greater Los Angeles Jewish Federation, ADL, the Combating Anti-Semitism Movement, and the West Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, and others in this very important event. The summit will begin at 7 p.m. The event is free and open to the public, so be sure to register through the link at our website. The High Holy Days are only 6 weeks away. All of our services will be held right here in our sanctuary at Kol Ami to honor our 30th anniversary. The information about the High Holy Days has already gone out by mail and email. Sign up for your tickets now. Yisker book entry, and be sure and buy your prayer book if you need one. There is a limited seating this year, so be early in getting your High Holy Day tickets. Members, if you've paid your quarterly dues, you will automatically receive your tickets. As always, we hope you'll keep up to date on all that's happening in our community, Congregation Kol Ami, by visiting k-o.org. kol-ami.org. That's kol-ami.org. You can register for all of our programs online, and while you're visiting the website, please consider giving us a donation to support the vital work that we're doing, not only for one another, but in the community, and that we do all year long. If you don't already get it delivered to your inbox, our twice a week email, ekolenu, also has all the information. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Janine. We turn to page 586. We invite you to rise as you are able for Aleinu L'Shabeach. Aleinu L'Shabeach, L'Adon HaKol, L'Tei Gedula, L'Yotzer Reishim, Shelo Asanu Ki Goye Aratzot, V'lo Samonu, K'mishpachot Ha'adama, Shelo Sam Chelkeinu B'hem, V'gor Aleinu B'chamonam. Anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech Moshe Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech ha'koretz bayom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Tonight, we're observing the yortzites of Leonard Bergstein, grandfather of Robert Bergstein, Robert Baum, husband of Esther Keller Baum, and Leona Siegel, mother of Alan Siegel, whose yortzite plaques are lit in loving remembrance. We're also recalling the yortzites of Ellen Musari, cousin of Bernie Goldberg, Ida Polonsky, aunt of Martin Hanman, and Alvin Goldberg, brother of Bernie Goldberg. And we've been reciting Kaddish for Erwin Citron, Marvin Edelman, Paul Morgan Fredericks, Paula Tabor, Ann Pendo, Linda Bachlian, Muriel Stein, Ruben Ibarra, Marianne Waxner, Claudia Morton, Ron Stoner, Alyssa Bentley, Sandy Salzman, Jay Solris, Shirley Rosenberg, Brandon Lux, Nadine Holt, Christopher Hughes, Yusuf Lukito, Evelyn Ruth Rich, Keith Cantrell, Rob Schlesinger, Leona Bander, Marlene Bram, Herb Jacobson, Richard Frank, Lou Vincenelli, Dave Hall, Howard Romanoff, Greg Sonkin, Ruth Foster Williams, Reba Goldman, and we note with sadness the death of Michael Simmental, Victor Escobar, Michael Simmental, husband of Phil Starr, and father of Isabel Simmental Starr, Victor Escobar, father of Stephen Escobar, Alvin Gross, beloved member of our congregation and uncle to Ken Goldman and Sue Carter, Ernie Benson, cousin of Bernie Goldberg, and also Kathy Weiss, wife of Ivan Rosenberg and mother of Daniel and Sarah and soul sister of Dora Rodas. If there are others that you would like to remember tonight, please say their name aloud at this time. For those of you on Facebook or on YouTube, if you want to write in the chat, please, or say the name aloud of your loved ones, we invite you to do so now. The memories of all these loved ones and so many dear members of our congregation who've died in just these last few weeks. Together, we praise God, praise the holiness in their lives, and connect it with the holiness in our lives. Page 598, we say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad divrach yutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudusha barichu. La'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'kol Yishvei Tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace and comfort to all who mourn and all of us who are bereaved. And let us say, amen.
Amen.
Our closing song tonight is Oseh Shalom. You can find it at the bottom of 598. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May we take the words that we have prayed together into our hearts. May we take the words that our new rabbi has offered to us about forgiveness into our hearts. And may we leave here renewed and restored and take Shabbat with us as we go, so that we may arise whole and healed. Baruch atah b'voecha, baruch atah b'tzeitecha. You are blessed in coming here. Be blessed as you go forth into the world and into Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. Shabbat shalom at home. We're so glad you stayed with us tonight. We'll see you soon. Shabbat shalom.